Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Weekender at 5. I'm your host, Sunil Kaushal, on 5th of December 2001. It's great to have you on board. And today we've got a great lineup of panelists to discuss a few things. But what a week it has been. New Zealand finally, and especially Auckland, finally gets to taste its freedom after over 100 days. It has been ups and downs for many businesses. We've also seen the COVID number, the Delta, go up and down. And thankfully, Omicron hasn't come to New Zealand. The vaccination numbers are creeping up to the 90% that the government has targeted. And I think it's a great news that lots of Kiwis are getting vaccinated so that they can protect themselves, their family, and their loved ones, and the extended friends and family. This week also saw the government's COVID framework released, whereby we move from levels into red, orange, and green light system. Most of New Zealand is in orange, whereas Auckland and parts of the other countries are in red. We've also seen this week National Party elects its new leader unopposed in Christopher Luxon. Some people say that it was too quick for Christopher to come. Others have been waiting for this moment. The Roy Morgan poll this week put National and ACT and Maori Party just above the combined total of the Labour and Greens. It may be music to the ears for the centre-right, but 2 years is a long time in politics. And what we have seen already happen is the new leader of the National Party being attacked, firstly about his faith, then about his wealth, which he has earned as an independent businessman or a leader of a business. Anyway, that's to be discussed later on. I should say that we will be joined by Christopher Luxon, the leader of National Party, next week, Sunday the 12th. So tune in at 5 o'clock. And today's discussions will be live on Facebook, on Twitter, and YouTube. So if you've got a burning question about the red light system, chuck it in, and we will try and ask the panelist. I'm being joined by three business people, three business owners, one in hospitality, the other one in retail, beauty, and the other one in fitness. We will be putting these questions and asking them of their feedback and what they think has been happening to their businesses, what they anticipate, how the red light system is working. I will be joined by Jazz from Parnell 149, Irene from Amax Laser, and also Sanchit from Page 3 Entertainment. Firstly, I would like to welcome Jazz Singh, who's the owner of Parnell 149 and also on the Retailers Association and the Parnell Business Association. Welcome to the show, Jazz.
Wonderful, thank you. How are you, Sunil?
Good, thank you. Jazz, how's the traffic light system treating you for the last few days?
Well, it's been ecstatic to be back. I'll tell you one thing. It's I could see the vibe, the energy amongst the diners and parents. They're looking forward to be out and amongst the dining fraternity of Parnell and Auckland. But it's been, I failed to understand this traffic light system. Why now? Why not earlier? So the answer back to your question is that how it's been a good start, but I'm pretty sure it could have been done many weeks back.
So do you understand the traffic light system?
I do.
And are you, did you have to invest further to have these facilities?
Look, it is the process you got to follow, but it does not make sense much. I tell you,
What doesn't make sense?
Say that again.
What doesn't make sense?
What it doesn't make sense is when you say that there's a social distancing needs to be in place. That social distancing does not mean that just by putting the marks on the flat streets and by keeping a distance amongst your tables in the restaurants will work. You drive past one of the clubs or pubs, you'll see how they're making a mockery of the social distancing. There's nothing as such at all. I will not name what bars and clubs there are, but why hospitality sectors, if we resegment, if we subcategorize, why the restaurants have to go through these strict
So do
guidelines.
you, yeah, do you, I mean, I understand where you're coming from because there's no social distancing in the retail malls.
I agree. That's where
Yeah.
I'm coming back to you. I had a lady called in from City Council. She came in. I said, "You're most welcome. Come and see me." No discussions over the phone. I may not be in a position to explain you properly what you exactly after. Come and see me. I'll tell you what is the understanding of processes. How do we deliver the systems in place? Come and visit me in the restaurant. And she came in. Yes, on Friday itself, we had a lovely chat. We had a coffee together, and she was completely blown away when she saw what I've got in the system, what systems I've got in the restaurant. But then there was a very funny conversation. She did ask me about the toilets. I said, "Don't talk to me the notebook style. Talk to me. Bring some common sense in place. Let's talk on the basis of facts. Not let's not talk on the basis of notebooks, the papers. It may work. It may not work. You don't want to put businesses who are already struggling, who have gone under, who have died big time, who have bleeded big time. You don't want them to be under more stress. Help them, work them closely, make them feel more confident, get them into the motivation platform and stuff, and then we work together. And
So
toilet part,
yeah, so did your business struggle during these 100 days?
look, there's no denying. If there's no denying. If someone says the business did not struggle, or I don't know, they're making them lock off this conversation. But yes, when your business is completely shut off for the last 108 days, there's no denying in this. There was no cash flow, but we had a sustainability plan, and there was only one sustainability plan: that how much can you continue to inject into the business. If you can successfully continue injecting the business, wonderful. Otherwise, like other businesses, unfortunate, they close the doors, they lock the doors, and they're gone under. So
So
yes, the
did
answer back
the,
to you, yes.
so did the resurgent payment not help you at all?
I wouldn't say not help me at all. I would say it helped, but the ratio was bare minimum.
And the
Because as
government,
I said earlier in the past, I take full pride in saying this, that my team's on board being looked after to the highest level. And we take pride in saying this. For example, any individual who's earning a certain amount of dollars, that wage subsidy will not let them proceed for that continuous period of time. So
sure.
how you inject them, how you top it up, you do it from your own pockets. And that's where the resurgence came in the resurgence payment structure came in place, which helped to a certain point. But if you see this resurgent payment plan or the package, will it help you in through the whole survival mode? Not at all. Not at all. The
So
only
you
sustainability
obviously, yeah,
plan is
because, sorry, carry on.
no, continue things.
I was, the $400 per FTE wouldn't have been enough, given that you are paying for holiday pay, ACC, rent, rates, etc. So how
Uh,
do someone small business like yourself and others survive?
and that's what I said. The first part of your question is good enough, just not okay. Any help is a welcoming news. Let's put it this. But what they have introduced during this lockdown, they left it too late, especially when it came to the weekly payment. Before it was 3 weeks, a resurgence. They should have introduced that part a long time back, and the businesses wouldn't be in a position to shut down. Wouldn't be in a position. Yes, they were dying, but they could have had the hope. Like, we're getting some injection coming from the government. Why do you have to delay till that end? And the answer to your
So,
second question is that how we survived. How we survived. There's only one sustainability plan. That how much can you keep injecting into the business? If you have that power, wonderful. You let the ships sail. If you cannot, you let the ship go under. There is no. Yep.
yep, you are also part of Restaurants Association and Hospitality New Zealand. Did uh, did your organization plead with the government
We
and
did.
ask them what is going on?
We did, but I'll tell you, Sunil, two wrongs will never make a right. This government is basically talking to the bullseye in front of you, and when you knock your smack your head in front of the bullseye, it's nothing to do with the bull. It is basically a stupidity that you are spanking your head in front of a bull. So I'm not hesitating to saying this, that what this government has said, they've literally failed to deliver, especially when it comes to the business community side.
What do you
And
mean by fail to deliver?
failed to deliver. A good example, I won't go much in detail about the past, but we'll discuss about the present. The traffic light system: red, orange, green. Why would you bring some more scarcity among the business communities when they've already gone through major setbacks? Why can you not keep things simple, keep it to the alert levels, minimize the restrictions? Why rather going circles and circles and circle? Why
Okay.
do you not introduce this in November, knowing the fact that the whole country is heading into this direction? Why do you have to wait till 29th of November when you knew, especially the hospitality industry, the Christmas time is not 25th of December? The Christmas starts from 1st of November and goes all the way till 20th of December. And from 20th of December, offices start shutting down. You go on a holiday mode. So what would you expect from a business to create revenue generation in 2 weeks of time where they've lost thousands of dollars in the last nearly 3.5 months? So these are
Okay.
the things what I meant that they have failed to deliver.
That's a very good point, and I will come back to you. But just before we introduce and bring the other speakers, panelists on, my question to you is: would you have gone into green a couple of weeks ago, or
I
even
would have,
now?
I would have gone into green by now. I wouldn't say if given in my hands, I would have been in red first week of November, 1 week, and then you followed by the first place. This traffic light system should not have come in place. It does not bring more ease amongst the community. It brings only confusion and scarcity amongst the community. You stick to the alert levels. You bring a level 3, level 2, 2.5, 2.52, and 1, and off you go. You go
Okay,
circle, circle, and circle. Yes, this would have been introduced in November, early November.
sure. I'd like to now bring on Sanchit Gupta from Page Three and Irene from Amax Laser onto the panel. Thanks very much for joining us. Sanchit, straight to you, following on from Jez's thing. Have you seen any cancellation because of the delay in the traffic light system? Okay, Sanchit, we'll come back to you. For some reason, we can't hear you. Okay. I'll come to you, Irene. You just started coming back to the traffic light system, and certainly, just like Jazz and Sanchit and others, it would have been quite difficult for you. Are you seeing any uptake in the new clients coming in, or are you just like Jazz seeing uh, reservations falling down?
Okay, my kind of business is very, very different to begin off with. I actually have a medical aesthetic clinic, which means that I'm seeing people for their necessary skin and hair conditions.
So, are
During
you essential
lockdown,
services?
sorry,
Are you
necessary?
essential services?
No, no. But my kind of service is where people actually need it. For example, if a person is wearing masks, they are suffering from acne on their face. They need to get it treated. Doctors are not seeing them anymore. You see what I mean? So basically, for example, my husband recently wanted to go to the doctors, and there is 2 weeks of wait to be able to see a doctor physically face to face. And when you see the doctor, all they do is just either write your prescription, send you away. There's no treatments prescribed. And my kind of clinic actually offers treatments to these kind of issues on their skin. So I'm not a
But did the
beautician.
traffic light system affect you at all?
Definitely, it has affected me. I'll come to that part in a minute. But what I'll say is, during lockdown, I think people had more time to spend time on their phone. The social interaction, internet interaction was there quite a bit. But what happened was, when we opened up, normally we do not give people a consultation booking. But because of this traffic light system, I'm having to book them. And when I book them, my diary looks full. And because there's someone specially allocated for these people for consultation is free. That half an hour is just gone by my staff attending to them without a payment coming through. So that was one difficult part to deal with. Yes, I have lost a few customers because there's a few people who have chosen not to do their vaccination. I cannot force them, but I cannot actually go and risk my other clients and myself by taking these clients on board. And we are talking about clients for my last 18 years, 16 years, they've been my clients. And I'm having to say to them, I'm very sorry, I cannot give you a booking because the government has put this in place. Some
But
of
if you
them
had,
are,
Irene, if you had a choice, would you have taken that customer?
yes, I would have, because these
Jazz,
are my
are
very
you
loyal customers.
okay? Jazz, are you drawing a line between vaccinated and unvaccinated?
Look, I'm very clear, Sunil. I'm very clear from the very day one when this mandate was introduced, and I have not denied in this that we will only accept guests who are fully vaccinated and who carry a vaccination pass along with us. Reason there are a couple of things. It's for the safety of the diners, the safety of myself, and safety of my entire team, who will be working day in day out. And the second point is we do not want. I look. I am not against any certain race, community. But the fact of the matter is that we businesses have struggled due to the certain number of people who does not want to get vaccinated. If they all would have been collectively got vaccinated, we wouldn't be sitting here today. I'll tell you brutally honest, we would have been in a much better position. Okay, we all have touched that 90% or 100%, whatever the percentage is. We wouldn't be sitting here by now. This would have been up and running 4 weeks back, maybe 5 weeks back, maybe 6 weeks back. So yes, I this the process is very clear. Please bring along a my vaccine pass in order us to scan it through, in order us to serve you to the highest industry standard and have a wonderful dining experience. Simple as.
Sure. Sanchit, welcome back. Have you seen any events being cancelled because of the red, green, and orange lights?
Yes, absolutely. Are you able to hear me now, Sunil?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, perfect. Sorry, there was some technical difficulties as they always do. Joys of now remotely doing things, right? Um, so yeah, but just with the cancellations, page three to give you an example. So we are the biggest Bollywood organizing event in New Zealand, and we had to suffer the loss of the uncertainty that our dear Prime Minister announced about a week back, where she said that we are still unsure of when we'll go to orange or green. And that would be decided on the 13th of December whether we'll move to the next, orange zone or green zone. So because of that, we had to cancel our event, which usually holds up to 1,200 to 1,400 people um, on a New Year's Eve. And even if on 13th of December, when the Prime Minister comes and announces that, yes, okay, we are ready to move to orange or we are ready to move to green, it's too late for companies like ourselves to actually organize such a big gathering and such a big event in 2 weeks. It's impossible.
So,
And
is there
similar thoughts
are they
is
providing
Jazz.
you any compensation?
Uh, It's funny because on the government website, it said that large event organizers will be paid one-off compensation from the government, but in the fine prints, it says it has to be 5,000 people. So what the government is doing is paying really high-end event organizers, but people like us have nothing that we get in compensation.
Irene, are you frustrated with the way this thing has been handled with the lockdown and again with the red light, orange, green light?
Yes,
Absolutely, because
absolutely. There is a
yes,
Yeah, sorry, I'll come back to you, Sanchit.
yeah.
Irene?
yes, absolutely, it has been. And for us to make sure that we do monitor our clients' entry, we actually ended up employing an extra staff to help us on board. And it hasn't been easy for us to deal with our clients. There's a surge of customers, they just all want to come in. But another frustrating part is that we are having to make our bookings with at least 10 to 15-minute gap in between so that customers don't go into the same room. We need to clean that room out. We need to make sure everything is sanitized up properly before the next customer enters into the room. And that's also wasting a lot of time in between where we could be seeing customers during that time and making money that we have lost so far.
So you've got to employ someone, plus
Yes,
the time between the appointments has reduced.
Yes.
So you're losing those income. Why
Yes.
is this? Why did you have to do that?
Because like I'm saying, if in the past before COVID time, I would work from 9:30 to 7 o'clock in the evening, I would be probably seeing 25 to 30 clients a day. Now I'm having to work from 7 or 7:30 in the morning till 9 p.m. at night, trying to cover the same amount of customers, but with gaps in between, and I'm seeing 25 to 30 clients, and I'm actually having to work myself harder to make the money that I want for my per day income that I should be looking at.
Jazz, are you finding the same kind of thing in your line of work?
I'll come back to this, Sunil, shortly, but I'll add something on to Sanchit's point, what he said earlier. That are very unfortunate to what he said earlier, that the government is happy to support a certain amount of money, but it has to be minimum 5,000. The gathering has to be minimum 5,000. What have these poor people have done wrong when they work hard to the highest level day in, day out? And this is what I'm saying. And that's the answer back to your question you earlier asked me, that what is the reason I'm saying that this government has failed? Because the biggest reason when you fail is when there's only one way. The surest form of failure is, my friend, to please everyone. You please all, you please none. And this is what this government is doing. And I'll tell you again, the
But you are
surest form of
saying
failure is
please
to
all, but you
please.
haven't been pleased.
Correct. This one, the please all means please all the high-end corporate sitting up there, the cooperative sitting up there. You get too busy in getting in the mingunified is that you're getting too busy. What they do, you do it. What they ask you sit down, you sit down. But you completely forgot about there are other businesses along the line, small scale businesses, mid scale businesses. The economy does not run just purely based on the high end cooperatives and stuff. It is a mix of all segments together. And that is what you got SCMs, supply chain management stuff, from small scales all the way to the high end. And that's what I meant to say. The surest form of failure is please all. Please all means you please all the high end sitting on the corporates, sitting in the air conditioning offices, in all the luxuries and stuff, who does not know what the reality is on the ground level. And
Are
you
you talking
please
about Are you talking about the bureaucrats?
look, I won't take any certain yes. The answer to your question is yes, and the answer to your question is no. But yes, to a certain extent, bureaucrats, cooperatives, the main cooperative. I will not simplify one certain corporates and stuff in order to create further fuss. But I'm sure you're smart enough. All our viewers are very smart enough. They understand who I am hinting out, who I am pinpointing at.
Sanchit, you probably lost heaps of business this year. Roughly, in a percentage wise, how much would you have lost?
Um, I think we did 2 events this year out of 12 months, whereas we do 12 events every month. So is it fair to say 100% of the business, that we have lost this year? We haven't done any major event, and we had a massive plan of expansion into Hamilton and in Wellington. So our goal to do this year was to double the number of events we do. So we were supposed to do 24 events this year, and all we have done is 2 events. So, you can do the math there.
So that means, from an events point of view, when do you think the event industry will open up?
Um, See, and this is where the uncertainty of the government lies, right? There is no pathway. Even if the government tells us and say, okay, you know what? This is what our roadmap for the next 6 months look like. We all understand that things change. It's a dynamic world as of we live in today. There's a lot happening. There's new variants coming out, but at least having that 6 month roadmap gives us some sort of a confidence and a clarity that if things don't go haywire because of XYZ reasons, this is what we have to follow, and this is what we can expect, and this is what we can finance and forecast for ourselves. But that's the sort of clarity we've been shouting and asking for, and we haven't got anything.
Irene, do you agree with Sanchit that there is no roadmap at all?
Yes, I agree with him 100% on that.
So you also are uncertain as to what's going to happen, let's say 13th of December, or even in, I think, 15th of January, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Jazz, do you know what's going to happen in 15th of January?
Look, say it again, please. Sunil, I missed it.
You know, the Prime Minister announced that she will relook at on the 13th of January and the 13th of December, but then again in January, she's going to look at the another sort of stage or relook at the things. So basically, the peak time for both you and Sanchit is uncertain. Is that right?
Oh, it is true. The certainty versus uncertainty is huge. You don't plan businesses based on uncertainties. You plan businesses, your trajectories, your forecasting, your business BM analysis on certainties. That okay, where I'll be seeing myself in the next 3 months, in the next quarter, in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months. But you do plannings, you do executions, but executions always come in place if you have the right directions to execute. Not next morning, you wake up in the morning and you see, okay, there's a lockdown. Where all the planning is gone, your planning is gone all off the hook. Goodbye, see you later. And that's what I say. If Shakespeare said one thing very clearly to the people who talk: if an ant spots and pans, there will be no dingus. That means you keep stirring in a glass of water, you will never get a buttermilk. In order to get a buttermilk, you stir in a glass of curd or you stir in a glass of cream or milk, and you get a nice product coming off that. Free talks will not fill your stomach, my friend. In order to get the ball up and running, you need to have those actions to be delivered to the highest industry standards. And saying on 15th of 17th of Jan or 15th of Jan, I do not know. I hope it'll be a very smooth journey ahead. But looking at the past track, very uncertain. Anything can happen at any time, at any given day.
You know what my fear, I think, and most of the public, is that come December 15th, most of the people will go out of Auckland.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
people
Agreed.
like Sanchit, Irene, and yourself,
Yeah.
For Irene, most of the customers will want to get out of Auckland after,
Yes.
more than 100 days in a jail. Sanchit can't hold a New Year's Eve event because everyone's buggered off. Restaurants will be empty, yet the government would say, look, we opened it. And I think it's a very uncertain time. It's all good to say, yes, we will open, we'll go the red light, traffic light system, etc. But there are businesses hurting, and I do feel for the businesses because it's you don't have a corporate backing you, and more than I do that $1,500 is not going to pay for your rates, for your rent, for your other things. Plus, you have to pay the staff and their holiday pay. I think the government certainly has failed, but in saying that also, we are better than some other countries where something is better than nothing. I think, yes, it's a big loss to have the events cancelled, to have customers cancel and bookings for Christmas, but to hold that, I think they could have done a little bit more, and should have planned for this vaccination way back last year, not when the poo hits the
Yes.
fan kind of a thing. But coming to you, Sanchit, have you got some sort of a certainty maybe from March next year, or are you
Uh,
still up in the air?
like the one word answer is absolutely no. And especially with the new variant coming in, times are looking more and more uncertain. It's like the little ray of hope, the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. As soon as we start approaching that, and we've seen a new variant come in, and now everything is just gone back up in the air.
I think it's like the virus that comes in a computer every 6 months. A new patch is updated, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It is uncertain. It's very. But I would have thought, okay, and a lay person out there, watching this, listening to this, will think, I've been vaccinated, so I can go for an event that page 3 holds, or I can go to the restaurant. Or I can get my laser done, or acne sorted out. Don't you think, Sanchit, that's right? That once we're very close to 90%, it should all open up.
I most certainly am a very strong believer of that, right? Human race, human beings as such, can't live locked up in a world. We take examples from certain things that have happened in the past, and one of the biggest example is Spanish flu, right? If you look at the history of Spanish flu, by the time Spanish flu got eradicated, it took about 10 years, right? Um, Given today's technology, the way we are, the vaccination, I would say even if you cut the time in half, you're still looking at 5 years for this thing to go away if you look at the historical data. But today's world is nothing like what was back in the 80s, or like the early 90s. So as a human, we have the need to go out, we have the need to do things. The world can't just cannot stop. The best we can do is get vaccinated, and I'm a strong believer, if you get vaccinated, you have done your part to fight this thing. And you have the right to go out, do your things, go to a dentist or get a haircut or do whatever you want, or go to an event for all that matters, right? And not just go to an event, because if you look on the COVID website, it says, yes, you can go into hospitality, but my dear friends or a lot of my colleagues who own bars and pubs, you can't actually stand up, right? You can't stand up and you can't dance, or you can't go to the dance floor, even if you're 100 gathering. You have to be seated with your corner of the people. How is that practically possible? I think we are trying to live in an idealistic world, and it's impossible to do that. We have to get a reality check.
I'll
I'll
bring
tell
in Jazz.
you,
Jazz wanted to
Sunny,
say
is
something.
I'll tell you something add on to this, Sanchit's point. A good example yesterday. Guests very static to come back. They wanted to be there. I could see the energy. I could see the wipe in their eyes. Finally, out of this 108 days of present, let's have a wonderful dining experience. And look at how confused they were. And that reflects back to your traffic light system cushion. They got up from the table. They wanted to visit the washroom. They were so confused whether they wanted to have to put the mask on, they have to take the mask off. Straight from the table, when you get up, and the distance between from your table to the toilets is maybe not even 10 meters, and they were not clear.
Okay, Jazz, in all honesty, you tell me, hand on heart, in that scenario, do you have to go and check on them? I mean, it's just, isn't it ludicrous?
No. That would be a joke, Sunil. Imagine no way. If someone says, I followed my guests all the way to the toilets, they are
You'll be
bluffing, they're
sued.
making a mockery out of this conversation. It's not possible. I know that you will not follow any of your guests all the way to the toilet. You don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. I ask you this thing very clearly. If someone comes and keeps chasing you all the way to the bathroom, okay, can you please put the mask on? You will say, listen, leave it to me. I'm a smart man. I'm a mature man. I know what I'm doing. Leave it to me. And you don't want to get uncomfortable. So this is what we felt, that even the poor diners were not clear. We could see the confusion, but our staff are fully trained. And the best part is, the hindsight is, that all our diners didn't know what they're getting into. The level of the expectations are huge. So they understand, they do follow the business government advisories, all the restrictions in place. So we're lucky enough to have those clientele, because being based in Parnell. But that doesn't mean that every business has got the same clientele. You go in clubs, you go in pubs, it's different, complete game together, different ball game altogether.
Yeah. Irene, do you think your customers are confused when they come into the clinic from the protocol?
Yes,
Because
from
imagine
day
there's
one.
one protocol for the restaurant, one for events, and one for you.
Yes, I even had a registered nurse turning up for her appointment without her vaccine pass. So you can imagine how people are confused. They don't know what's going on. There was an auntie client who came out as well without any vaccine certificate or pass. Some people are not happy to show us their vaccine pass because it contains their date of birth, their full names. They don't want to share that with us. They don't want to put it on our paper, because we actually have a special documentation where I need to sign and document that I have cited their vaccination pass. I have to keep it all on record, and it is not easy to do all that. That is why we had to employ an extra staff, so that we can actually focus on the treatments, while there's another person in the front making sure that all the vaccine people are coming in and all the paperwork is done as required by the government.
That's a very good Sanchit, that's a very good point Irene raises about personal information, date of birth. I mean, how do you manage that at an event? I mean, surely I know you can scan it with a phone, but
Yeah.
still.
So what we had done is, while we had the uncertainty, we still had the ray of light at the end of the tunnel. So what we had done is, a couple of weeks back, we actually launched a new event before we canceled it last week. So we had the tickets up for 2 weeks, and people were really excited. And one of the precautions what we had done for that is, while people were actually booking the ticket, we had got them to acknowledge that they understand the COVID protocols, that they're fully vaccinated, um, and we had also hired a couple of people, a couple of extra security guards, fully trained, who would be standing in the front of the queue and checking those details and the acknowledgements. So there was a two-way gated system in one sense. One is a digital gated system where people had to make sure that they're vaccinated, and only if they click yes and they acknowledge they're vaccinated, they were able to book the tickets. And then we would do that manual checking on the door. So it is, in some case, was a double gated process. But yeah, but let me give you a very good example today, right? Today, this morning, me and my wife were going to a restaurant to dine in. Um, so we went for breakfast. We walked in, and the lady saw my vaccination pass and my wife's vaccination pass and said, "Hey, people have been turning up with fake vaccination passes. I need to see your ID to match your vaccination pass with your ID." And I started having a conversation with her, and that's when I realized, people are finding loopholes in everything, and people are not actually happy to show their vaccination passes, so they have, like, fake vaccination passes or something that they've created on their iPhones, and they're showing that to restaurants. So restaurants are now using IDs to verify those.
Yeah, Jazz, do you confirm that?
Look, as I said, there's two sides of a coin, and what he's saying, I won't disagree to what he's saying. Again, depending on the establishment, depending on the location, depending on the segment you cater for, and uh, fortunately, there's nothing as such we have faced. We don't know about the future, but the teams are. If we have to ask for the IDs, we will not hesitate to ask for the IDs. Very simple, very clear, and the message is being delivered because we got a system in place as such that when you book it online, you get that all that in writing, the acknowledgement from the backend team. Please do bring this. If not, the chances of getting denied would be highly likely. So we have not faced yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear all these things happening. If it is happening or if it continue to happen, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Just before we close off, last question to all of you, starting with you, Jazz. What do you think is the future of the hospitality industry given Christmas is coming and 15th of December is coming? Everyone's probably going to bugger off from Auckland. What do you think?
Hospitality, Christmas is not coming. Christmas is already gone. Christmas is not is Christmas Day. I understand it's 25th of December, but in hospitality that doesn't stand. 25th December is not the only day, or the week before 2 weeks is not. It's from November all the way till 20th of December is the Christmas season. So, but yes, it's something is better than nothing. Rather sitting at home and keep binging, it's not going to help. It's not gonna. I myself and I know many more in the business communities who own high-end restaurants, very successful restaurants within great locations. They have managed, but it's been a long and very tough road. It's been a long and a hard road, and we cannot continue to do like this in the coming days, in the coming weeks. The show must go on, but whatever we got in hand, we got to milk the max out of this.
Okay.
And
Irene,
looking forward to wonderful days.
thanks. Irene, what do you think is the future for your industry?
My industry is struggling quite a bit to begin off with. I have already lost one staff. She has resigned. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to find more staff. As soon as they get their permanent residence, they are gone. So that was another blow to us as well. I've only got 2 weeks almost to work, and then we're going to be closing for Christmas up again. So from the 24th is our last day. We're going to be coming back in January. So I'll be one staff down, and then I'll be another staff down soon in a couple of months, due to her having a baby soon. So probably I think I'll end up working alone by myself, and that means working longer hours, trying to cope with the loss that we have had so far. And it looks grim. It doesn't look good at all to us, especially me being a close contact. I'm hovering over clients. I'm facing them face to face to be able to provide them treatments. It is not easy, and I'm very, very sad to see a lot of my clients that I cannot see, who've been loyal to me for so many years, and due to their choice not to vaccinate, I'm actually unable to provide them a service.
Okay, thanks, Irene. Sanchit, what's the future for your industry?
Um, I'm an optimistic person, so the future is always bright. The grass is always greener on the next year, when we enter 2022. But to second what Jazz said, Christmas is over, New Year is over for us. We'll be closing our books in very, very high loss this year, which is a fact, and we have all come to an agreement with that. However, we still hope for the best. Hope things get better. Uh, and we find certain protocols and we find certain ways to live with this until this is gone.
So, do you think the events industry will probably start back up again in March?
Um, Again, Sunil, things are more uncertain than they're certain. So I am still not sure. Even if Prime Minister says in December or in January, yes, you can have, let's hypothetically say 500 people at a venue, but you can't actually dance. So that's still not good for me, right? So it's like I need people. I need times where there are no 1 meter distance or there are no protocols as such in terms of distancing. Yes, vaccinated, I agree, and I fully support that. And I still, if anyone's watching, if you guys are not vaccinated, I think everyone on this team would request you to go get vaccinated and help us end this, miserable times. Um, but apart from that, if it's vaccination is the mandate, I think the future is good for us and we can still hold events. But if there's any other things apart from that, um, yeah, I don't know how long, we'll hold
Sure.
back and sit tight.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jazz, Irene, and Sanchit, for your time today. I really appreciate it, for your honesty. I do feel for you as business owners. It has not been an easy road. You have survived, and I hope and pray that you still continue to survive, and hopefully 2022 brings in good bonuses and good cash flow for you all, and we are over this. But my heart do go out to you and your teams, and thank you for your honesty. There are other people in the same boat as you are, so don't feel. And I do plead out to the viewers who are watching this: go and support your local businesses, help them also, because it's all circular economy. So thank you very much for your time, and have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you, Sunil,
Thank
and
you.
thank you to the Indian Weekender team as well for giving us the opportunity to actually put our thoughts and miseries forward in some sense.
Sure. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thanks, man.
Goodbye. Well, viewers, that was a great panel discussion we've had with the three businesses in different industries. As you heard from the horse's mouth, it hasn't been good for them. It's very confusing. Uh, while they understand the traffic light system, but the question is why it has taken so long and so close to Christmas, which is a bumper season for these industries. They are still facing so much roadblocks and so much loss of revenue because of the way it has been handled. So obviously not a great story there, but do support your local businesses. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Sunil Kaushal, at Weekender on Sunday at 5. I will see you next week with the leader of the opposition, Christopher Luxon, who will join us, and he will talk to us about his vision for the reset of the new national party, as he calls it. Till then, goodbye, stay safe, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.